Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I am Emma Toops. I'm the Executive Director for American Warriors, and this event is the Purple Connection. I'm going to first start off with some administrative announcements regarding how we're going to do the meeting. So I already kind of warned you all, the event is being recorded. So if you are not speaking, please mute your microphones. That'll help reduce any type of feedback or other kind of background noise. Please turn on your video if you have not turned that on. Make sure it is your name that is showing up so that when we do have our presenters speaking, they know who their audience is. Faces versus black boxes is always much more appreciated when you're a presenter. There will be rules of engagement for the panel program, and the Q&A will be explained, and then that'll be immediately prior to the first panelist speaking, which apparently is me. We'll ask for you to help us create an attendance roster and also facilitate useful connections by having you provide your name and contact information in the public chat so that everybody can see that. Include what you offer or what you might be seeking from the Purple Connection community, and the chat will be saved at the end of the meeting. So you don't need to monitor that unless you are kind of looking for someone's specific information. If you want to kind of private message folks, on the call because you already know them, then certainly you're free to do that. Everyone who registered for the event and the attendees will receive future emails after the event is completed. Registrants will receive a video link for the recording, as well as all attendees will receive a cleaned up copy of the chat. So you can follow up with each other after the program. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start a share screen and start the actual presentation program. Let's see here. Excuse me. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I am the facilitator for the Purple Connection, and I apologize in advance for kind of monopolizing the speaking for today's event. This is the first event in the relaunch of the Purple Connection, and me being the facilitator and actually being also in the program, one, it made it really easy to coordinate the participants because some of the participants were me. But it also allows us to model the standard program elements of what you can expect in a Purple Connection event. So here is the agenda for the program. I'll do an introduction to what is American Warriors and the Purple Connection. Then we'll have our panel program that has 3 individuals representing 3 kind of categories of folks who would be in this Purple Connection community. You have a veteran entrepreneur, which will be me today, military support nonprofit, which is going to be Scott Weaver, and then a military friendly corporate, which will be Carl Little. We'll follow that with a Q&A, and that'll be 15 minutes. There'll be a transition tip, and that it'll be kind of purely educational about something that is useful. You can take it or leave it as far as whether it applies to you. And then we'll wrap it up with some event announcements and the end of the meeting. Okay. So as far as the introduction, American Warriors is a special interest group of the ACA Business Club. And the business club is a private club that has a philosophy and culture that business flows out of relationships. Club members are committed to creating solid connections of learning and practicing the fundamentals of strategic networking and relationship building. So American Warriors are club members who have an affinity with or support those who have served our country in military service. I'm one of the co-founders of American Warriors and am the executive director. So our mission statement for the American Warrior SIG is that we provide educational and network opportunities for veterans who are leaders in business, and we support the transition of active duty service members into private and public sector business. The Purple Connection is going to be the routine virtual event every month, which is a vehicle for us to fulfill this mission. Now, the challenges of transitioning military is a very well-researched problem. You find evidence of it by the multiple military support nonprofits and organizations that provide services to address them. So Driving Community Impact was a white paper that was published in April of 2015 by the Institute for Veterans and Military Families of Syracuse University. They determined after several years of research and thousands of surveys that the leading gap in services was not the lack of them, but the lack of connectedness of them. So, how do you solve it? You create a partnership of stakeholders who have a common goal for supporting the American Warrior. So this is what the Purple Connection is. So what's up with the name? Okay, there's actually two reasons for it. Most people who did not serve at the strategic levels of the military are likely to not be familiar with the military jargon of joint is purple. The color for joint is purple. Okay, when our military is operating overseas on a deployment, that environment is one comprised of a multitude of seemingly disparate entities and organizations, but they have a common purpose in the operation or the mission that unites and focuses their effort. So the Purple Connection is an attempt to replicate this type of environment to support the American Warrior. Now, another reason for the name is that when you combine the two colors of red and purple, you get purple. You probably learned this in kindergarten or some type of art class, okay? So we are facilitating the connection of individuals who identify either with the military community or the military support and business community, hence the name, the Purple Connection. So here are the Purple Connection's vision and mission. We are wanting to create awareness to enable access, and for those who may otherwise have a lack of courage or ability to take action, the community helps to empower that action. We wanted to do this. We support growth and healing, expedite reintegration, and we do it by regularly bringing together the high-level experts of the community and facilitate those connections through educational networking. Now, before any planned engagement ever occurs in the military, those who are participating in it are informed of the rules of engagement, or the ROE, so that the execution can go more smoothly. So here are the ROE for our panel program and networking. Each panel participant will have 8 minutes to deliver their remarks. There will be a timer, and you can use it all up, or you can stop short of the 8 minutes as you need. But when the 8 minutes are up, you need to wrap it up, and we will move on to the next presenter. Once each of the 3 organizations have completed their remarks, there'll be 15 minutes for Q&A. Now, as the program is being recorded, there's some people who don't like to public speak. Some may not want to be identified. So private message your question to me, and I will ask those questions of the appropriate panel member, or if it's a general question, put it out there for those to respond as appropriately. After the Q&A, there will be 8 minutes for a transition tip. That transition tip is going to be purely educational in nature, and provide, insight, a perspective, possibly a research or a resource or a tool. After the presentation, if you haven't already shared in the public chat, put your point of contact information, how you serve the community or need support from the community, and then the chat will be saved and cleaned up, and people will receive it in a future email so that you can follow up with each other as you like. We'll follow that with some event announcements, wrap up, and the meeting will end. We want to try to do all of this in about an hour. That is kind of what the program timeline will be. So first up is the veteran entrepreneur, which is me. Okay, you know a little bit about me already. My name is Emma Toops. My business is Toops Consulting, which is a business that I do with my husband, David. We started the business in 2014. And our purpose is on connecting, coaching, and consulting. We connect people to greater self-awareness, other people, or resources. We coach students or adults facing life, school, or career transitions. And we consult in information technology or human resources. So our three business segments are in personal and professional development, IT consulting, and HR consulting. Personal and professional development is our priority focus because David and I both deliver services in this segment. We are academic coaches, ACT exam prep coaches, subject tutors, and contract teachers. I also am a transition coach and a strengths profile practitioner. Our students are primarily high school and undergraduate students. When we do ACT exam prep, I work with the student to develop test-taking strategies that maximize on their strengths. I do subject tutoring for reading, writing, and social studies. David tutors math, and both of us can tutor science. For my transition coaching, I work with students and adults who are facing a life, school, or career transition or are stuck for getting on to what's next. I use the strengths profile assessment as a personal and professional development tool because it highly elevates self-awareness and it enables more intentional decision-making. So what is strengths profile? It's a strengths assessment that measures 60 strengths in the context of performance, energy, and frequency of use. Available reports provide a unique quadrant profile of realized strengths, unrealized strengths, learned behaviors, and weaknesses. And when the strengths knowledge is applied, a person intentionally leverages their strengths to compensate for learned behaviors and weaknesses, and that often results in better outcomes in their life, school, and career decisions. The profiles can be tools for an individual, a team, or a manager. For an individual who is in career transition, I've developed a 6-session coaching sequence that includes the strengths profile assessment and direct application of the strengths knowledge in creating a more intentional transition plan with action steps. In the coaching sequence, a person becomes more self-aware of their strengths, develops their personal brand, value proposition, and purpose. They become more confident, clear, compelling, and consistent in how they present themselves on paper, online, and in person. And they become much more intentional and effective in how they network and pursue opportunities. Most clients go through the sequence in 3 months. The IT consulting segment is David. He's been an IT professional for over 30 years and has a bachelor's degree and 2 master's degrees that support his expertise. His preference is software development for databases and other data management solutions. However, he can support IT challenges for most things that might be a bit too complicated for the average user. He can help set up hardware networks, social media, and other digital business communication systems. He's proficient with digital media software such as Photoshop and Adobe Studio, Movie Maker, and these things. And he prefers projects that serve small business owners or nonprofits. The HR consulting segment is me. As an accredited strengths profile practitioner, I support businesses looking to maximize performance, energy, and engagement with current employees. There are various strengths profile tools available, as I stated earlier, and they can support goals for workforce engagement, greater team performance, and supporting personal and professional growth. My over 17 and a half years of military experience, planning and educational background, and work as a transition coach support my HR consulting for businesses who want to be more successful recruiting and retaining military talent. I help them to envision, implement, or improve their military programs and strategies, and I also can conduct educational workshops that can improve their understanding of military culture, organizational structure and function, and help them to translate military skills and experience. I'm also open to speaking engagement opportunities for training or special events. So community endeavors that David and I are involved with include being part of the executive committee of Kansas City AUSA. I'm currently the director of community partners as the immediate past chapter president, and David is the director of communications for the chapter. David is currently on a project with the University of Central Missouri in their partnership with the Full Employment Council of Missouri. And he's helping them to improve the virtual curriculum delivery capabilities for non-traditional students. We have both been contract teachers for this partnership in the past, where David has delivered IT classes or supported their labs, and we both have delivered classes on soft skills. As I stated previously, I am the executive director for American Warriors for the ACA Business Club. I am also a Veterati mentor, and I am an executive fellow in the EMBA class of 2021 at Rockhurst University. David and I offer multiple ways to support the needs of the Purple Connection community. So reach out to us if we can support you in any one of our 3 business segments. Our email addresses are david@toopsconsulting.com or emma@toopsconsulting.com. You can also find us online through our website, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next, which is Scott Weaver for KCAUSA.
Thank you, Emma. Again, I'm Scott Weaver. I'm the current chapter president of the Greater Kansas City chapter of the Association in the United States Army. And I'll go ahead and start off with just a little bit of background on the Association in the United States Army, which is an educational nonprofit. It is the professional association of the United States Army and a military support organization, which was established in 1950 as a voice for the Army and support for the soldier. Around the world, there are 122 chapters in 9 regions, and all of those chapter leaders, like myself, like Emma, and like Mike Szymanski, are volunteers. So the Greater Kansas City chapter of the Association of the United States Army was established 21 years ago in September of 1999 by prior members of the Henry Leavenworth chapter of the Association of the United States Army, which is right outside the gates there at Fort Leavenworth in Leavenworth, Kansas. We then, as you can tell, have 2 AUSA chapters in the Greater Kansas City metropolitan support area, and where the Henry Leavenworth chapter really is focused on serving the soldier and Army civilian population of Fort Leavenworth and Lansing. Our focus is on those soldiers and former military members who have transitioned out of active service or are in the reserves and National Guard and are making their lives and their livelihoods here in the Greater Kansas City area. So Johnson and Jackson County, and if we think about it then from Olathe, Overland Park, Leawood, Lee Summit, Independence, all the way over, in fact, into Warrensburg. And so that's really kind of the focus, as well as Emma was talking about earlier, they're in the Northland as well. So Liberty and Platte City and areas up there to the north of the Missouri River. Our vision is to be the premier voice for the Army in the greater Kansas City area in partnership with our friends at in the Henry Leavenworth chapter. And we are a voice for the Army in the greater Kansas City area and our focus is on supporting soldiers, Army civilians, veterans, and their families through our educational programs and through our community outreach. Areas that I'd like to go ahead and focus on that today, where we're really focused is we try and focus our soldier support onto our ROTC cadre at Truman State University, Northwest Missouri State University, and that battalion, which also has students at both Park University as well as at University of Missouri Kansas City, and the University of Central Missouri, and Pittsburgh State University down in Pittsburgh, Kansas. In addition to that, we also focus our support on with our recruiters in the greater Kansas City area, and with the Kansas City Recruiting Battalion, which is located here, as well as then with both our Reserve and National Guard personnel who are continuing to serve in uniform and supporting their families. One of the areas where we're working with the recruiting battalion to go ahead and reach out a little bit more is to our future soldiers and our new soldiers, those families who may not have a background in the military, but they have a son or a daughter who has, or a spouse who's joined the military and want to know, need to know, should know more about the Army. So we try and go ahead and focus there as well. We also have as areas of special emphasis, young professionals, those younger folks who have done time in the military on active duty and either gone into the reserves or who have in fact departed service completely and who are establishing their lives and livelihoods here in the greater Kansas City area. And one area that I would like to go ahead and emphasize as we come up onto the holiday season in particular is Wreaths Across America. We have the opportunity here in December to go ahead and honor our veterans who have passed on by working with Wreaths Across America to go ahead and set wreaths there at the Leavenworth National Cemetery, as well as several other cemeteries here in the Kansas City area. And that will happen in December. Though with the COVID-19 restrictions, that's having some impact on the ability to go ahead and do what we normally do at all of those cemeteries and laying wreaths at the grave sites of our veterans who passed on. And with that, Emma, I'll go ahead and cede the remainder of my time back to you to go on with the story.
Okay. All right. You had plenty of time left. Okay, just a second here. Let me reset the timer. Our third panel participant is our military-friendly corporate, and that will be Carl Little for Sumner 1. Carl, are you there?
Help if I came off mute, right?
There you are.
Emma, thank you very much for inviting me today. I really appreciate being here, and this is exciting for me. I think it'll help me as well as help you guys. I know a lot of the folks on the call, which is great. So I'm with a company called Sumner 1, which is a fabulous company out of St. Louis. We have 9 locations with 900 employees, and we have 125 in Kansas City, which I'm partially responsible for managing. And we sell office equipment, copiers, printers, fax machines, scanners, phone systems, office supplies. And the one thing I want to get across today is we don't do enough business with the federal government. In fact, we don't do any business with the federal government. I think our feeling is that it's too hard to do business with the federal government. It's too long, too lengthy, and we don't like, we like deals that come down pretty fast. We average 225 copiers a month that we sell. Some months we'll sell 1,000, some months we'll sell 150, but we average 225, which is a lot. And we want to do more. We want to do more with the government, but we need help. We need folks like you that could be part of our team. So I would encourage you to take my information down, my email address, and send me a resume and call me and tell me a little bit about yourself, because we do have some spots open, especially now that the COVID thing is still going on. We have not lost any salespeople. We have 15 salespeople. We've not lost any of them. We have furloughed a few of our service technicians. We have 50 technicians, 50 technicians. Some of them have gone out and probably won't come back because they have to find other jobs. But so I want to tell you a quick story. On my way home tonight from the office, I stopped at Walmart to pick up something for my wife, and I walked in to pick it up, and Trish Lang was in there. Does anybody know? I think a lot of you folks know Trish Lang. She's been in the banking business a long time. Just made a job change, I think, a couple of months ago. But her son reached out to me about 4 months ago and said, "Could you help me at US Engineering?" And I said, "Why do you ask?" He said, "Well, I know you know the folks that run US Engineering." And I said, "Well, sure. What do you want?" He said, "Well, they hired me before the COVID. And just as the COVID started, they let me go. And I'm furloughed, but I want to go back to work." So I made a few calls to some of my friends there. The Daniels brothers and their dad are friends, been friends a long time. And I said, "What's the status on this guy?" And they said, "Why don't you have him call the HR director?" So he did. I did. And we drove her crazy, I think, and we got him in a position now. He's there full time. He's very happy. So just ironic that she was there at Walmart when I went in there today. So I've got 3 very good friends that are Naval Academy graduates who live here in Kansas City. I think you all know Jack and Chuck and Jeff. And they are very successful guys in their own way, in their own businesses, and good guys. So we want to talk to people that have experience in the military, because we know you guys are disciplined. We know you have plans in your head as to what you want to do when you get out. So please reach out to me. I think the best way to find jobs today is to reach out to people that might have some influence in the marketplace. I have some influence. I've been selling copiers in Kansas City for 30 years. To be honest with you, I know a lot of people. But I would say this: network. As many network events you can go to in a week, you'll run into people that will help you. My philosophy is I don't need any more friends, I need more deals. But if I was looking for a job, I would want people to help me find jobs. And the best way to do that is to go meet them. And just hand a business card, hand a resume, spend time with them, get to know them as well as you can, and ask them to help you find a job, because there's a lot of positions out there right now. I think people think that nobody's hiring. People are hiring, just hiring the right people. Salespeople are always available. They're always looking for salespeople, I should say. So I guess the best thing I can say to you today is, if you want help, call me, reach out to me, I'll help you. In the last year, I found 4 jobs for 4 people. I think most of the people on this call today know the 4 people I'm talking about. These jobs pay $100,000 a year, which is pretty good money, I think. And I had one guy call me today and say, "I need a salesperson really, really bad." And I sent him 3 names. Obviously not the names of my people, but maybe names from some of my competitors, maybe some people I just know looking for jobs. So I normally average about 2 positions a week that the people are looking for folks. And one guy called me about a month ago and said, "I need 4 people." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I had 4 people walk out on me." I said, "Well, geez, maybe you should be a nicer boss." So I'm gonna end shortly and tell you that there's a lot of jobs out there. If you want to find something, now is a good time to do it, because a lot of people are sitting back on their thumbs waiting for things to happen. They're not going to happen. You got to go make them happen. And I'm certainly willing to help you. I don't expect anything out of it except a cup of coffee and a thank you, and we'll help you find something. So, and I think my email address is clittle@sumner1, SUMNERONE, sumner1.com. My phone number is 913-752-2256. Please call me if I can help you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And just a second here, let me turn this timer off so it doesn't go off later. There we go. Okay, so now that we've heard from the 3 organizational representatives, now we have an opportunity to ask some questions. And I actually was able to get some fed to me earlier before the program started, and I need to find them. Hold on. Sorry about this. I don't know that I can get to them very easily because I'm doing a share of my screen. I think if I tried to find it the way I would normally, being an attendee to one of these things, I just kind of minimize the Zoom window and go find it. Well, I don't know that I can do that tonight. So here are some questions for you, Carl. What are the after onboarding challenges for the employer and the new former military team member when you bring on someone who's prior service?
I think the biggest thing is we want to find somebody who really, really understands what they want to do in life. I've always said to my guys, when you hire somebody, you're hiring a family, not hiring one person, you're hiring a family. You decide to let that person go, you're letting a whole family go. Somebody's got to go home and tell mom or dad or somebody that they've lost their job. So be sure you're hiring the right people. So I would say, find a company that you can research and really, really know what they're doing, know what you want to do inside the company, know what you want to do in your career, and really focus on it. And when you come into an interview, ask a lot of questions. Because the worst thing you can do is make a mistake and go to work for the wrong company. I've done that once in my career. I think I've had 6 jobs in my career, and I think I had one bad one, which was my mistake. Just come in prepared. You can find lots of information on the internet. You can call friends that may be in the same industry and say, "Can you tell me about your industry? Is it getting old? Is it new? Is it what's going on?" So just be prepared and come in. And there's nothing wrong with asking. If you like the position, ask for it. There's nothing wrong with asking for the position. There's nothing wrong with asking for how much money you're going to make, and tell me about the benefits. You got to know those things before you accept the job. And I hate when people wait till the very last minute and say, "Well, I was hoping for more money." Well, I'm sorry, but this is what it pays. And we pay really well. So, but don't be afraid to ask those kind of questions.
All right. Here are a couple more questions, also for you, Carl. How does the new team member adjust to the new culture if there are things that are not in their routine, in the way that you do business? How well do their expectations kind of line up with the actual environment that they're now in? Have you ever had challenges with that?
I would say if you were a machine gun sergeant in the Army, I wouldn't bring a machine gun to work. But I would say just come in, be friendly to the people around you, kind of figure out what their roles are, try to help them as much as you can. If I help somebody, I expect they would help me in return. If they don't, they don't. But I would hope that they would. I would think the biggest thing is just try to be a great team member. I mean, you've been a team member in the Army or the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, whatever branch you're in. Just be a team member in business. Business is about teams. If you think there's one person doing it, I tell you, I've owned a lot of companies. It's not me. It's the people that run the company, the people that are working for me that run the companies. I'm just a guy that had the idea. So just be a great team member and try to help as many people as you can. Don't suck up. Sucking up, that's old style stuff. Just go to work. And my dad taught me a long time ago. He said, if you're the first one there in the morning, last one to leave at night, you'll never have to worry about your job. You don't have to worry about getting a raise or getting more money. Just be first, be good, and hustle hard, and you'll be fine.
All right, very good. Okay, so the plan to send the questions to me kind of flawed on that guidance because I can't see the chat channel while I'm sharing a screen. So if somebody has a question, you're gonna have to say something. This will be not a problem in future events because I will not necessarily be sharing my screen. We'll have somebody else doing that as the facilitator. But anybody else have any questions for the panelists or just kind of in general about this whole idea of what the Purple Connection community is all about? Any questions?
So Emma, I'll start off here, I guess. Yeah, I'll start off here. So it was a good article that I read on the higher military, and basically, the author had said, every military vet comes in and says, what do you want to do? And it's, I can lead, build teams, and solve problems, and that's great. I think every military vet out there can pretty much do that. What exactly during an interview or during a hiring process, how do you tailor those more so, for what you're looking for?
You got four.
Did that come across? I'm not sure about my connection here.
Okay, so I think that Carl kind of said it earlier, that when you go into an opportunity, you need to know what it is you want to do. And so these things that a lot of veterans might be able to do, they're too vague as far as how do they apply to the work. So the work might require you to be a leader, but what are you leading in the work? Or if you are, you know, what were some of the other things that you said, that you're, you know, organizational planner or something like that. What are you planning? Right. So it's a little bit too generic potentially. And though those are soft skills that are quite transferable into any sector of business, it's not specific enough to the work. Does that make sense?
So Emma, I'm going to ask Joseph Howell to go ahead and pipe up on this as well, because of the work that he does in helping people find their place.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Well, I think that there is a lot of people who really underestimate what they're really able to do. You know, I think it's easy for what we kind of think that the civilian population thinks about us. So we think that what they think is, oh yeah, you can lead teams, you're a leader, that sort of thing. But actually, you know, a lot of us have very hard skills from their time in the military. You know, I work with a lot of manufacturing companies, a lot of IT people who work on ERP systems and that sort of thing. And those are hard skills that people actually did while they were in the service. And so I think whenever we're able to go back, especially those of us who were in for a little while, and go back and do a solid inventory of what some of those skills are. That's one of the things that I try to work with some of the people that I talk to, is to do that solid inventory, to go back and say, okay, so what, besides the soft skills, which are very solidly valuable. So I wouldn't discount those either, because they're not something that everybody on the street has. But to do that solid inventory, to go back through, not all of us got out of the Army as senior officers and NCOs. You know, we all started somewhere, and we all have hard skills that we had to do while we were going through, and how that transfers is a little bit different with everybody. So I think just a little bit like what Carl was saying, to be able to, be able to know what you want to do, be able to go back and look creatively at your military career, and be able to go and brand yourself well to that organization. Does that help, Scott?
It does. And I want to build off that last thing that you said there, in terms of a job is not a reward. Somebody offering a job is offering you the opportunity to help them solve their problem. And so knowing what the organization does, what the challenges are in front of the organization, and being able to identify, again, those hard skills or those soft skills where you can apply what you know to help them improve their business. And Carl, is that on track, do you believe?
Yeah, that's very much on track. I will say one more thing. When I looked for a job, I was a small college football coach from Washington University in Topeka. I had no idea I was going to be in the office equipment business. I thought I was going to be a coach the rest of my life. And went home one night, my wife said, "You need to find a different job." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You're not a very good coach and we can't pay the rent." I said, "Oh, great." So I looked around for a job. I interviewed with IBM, I interviewed with Xerox, I interviewed with Exxon. I thought Xerox had the best training program, so I found a company that could train me on to do what they wanted me to do. So I took the Xerox training. I spent 2 years with Xerox. Then I bought my own company. You know, I've read some of you guys have said you want to start a company. Start a company. Don't wait. Just get it done. You need some money? I'm sure we're going to go get the money. There's lots of banks that want to loan money today. Even though it's 2.5% interest, they still want to loan money, but just go do it and don't look back. I mean, the fact that you have veteran experience in some field, it's not going to be the same field. It's going to be different. So just go find something, find a great company, and go to work for them and do a great job, or go start a company. Get it done and get it done now. Don't wait.
Emma, I had a question actually along the lines of what Carl was just saying. I guess this really could go to either you or Carl. So I had a question about what do you think were the the greatest strengths as far as being an entrepreneur that you were able to apply from your military career, and not only just the strengths that you had to be able to apply to entrepreneurship, but also what are the resources that you took advantage of to be able to make a solid transition. You know, I see some people from universities here and that sort of thing. So I'm sure there's resources out there.
Okay. I think that's a really great question. And my response actually, it's a good segue to the transition tip that I'm going to be presenting here in a few minutes. But one of the things that I have found by becoming an entrepreneur as kind of my first thing out of the military, I never went into corporate America and became a W-2 for a corporate. I did represent a corporate entity, but I was a 1099. I was an independent contractor and I was doing an insurance agency. And that was my first thing out when I got out of the military. And what I realized when I was still on active duty and kind of assessing, you know, doing that inventory of hard skills, soft skills, how can I apply myself outside of the military? I realized that some of my talent in risk mitigation as a chemical officer, environmental risk, things that are, you know, the potential for, you know, catastrophe and what do you do in response? And some of these things, being a planner, being a risk mitigator, being a leader of organizations, that was what directed me to actually intentionally seek out insurance as an opportunity. I wanted to be an insurance agent. I wanted to have my own agency, and that's what I did for almost a year after I got out. So I think it's very, very necessary to do that inventory. You have to be self-reflective as far as what are your strengths, what are your assets, what are your resources, but you also have to acknowledge that there's a lot of information that you do not know. And like what Carl was saying, you need to get out and meet people. You need to gain access to those things that are going to get you to where you want to go. And you have to have courage in order to take those steps when you don't know what the right answer is. And don't try to do it yourself. I mean, in the service, we never do anything by ourselves. We always have at least a battle buddy. We do everything in teams. So anything, you know, going forward, and especially in entrepreneurship, you don't want to do that by yourself. And I'm in an EMBA program now, and Toops Consulting is turning 6 this year. But I kind of laugh about, you know, my business acumen, because I've been OJT in it. I've been meeting people like Carl, people from the club, all these different people who've been in business, corporate or otherwise, being a nonprofit leader. All of that has been me OJT in it for the last 5 years. And it actually was part of the reason why I went into the EMBA program. I was like, you know what, I probably have some gaps in my business expertise that these friends of mine aren't necessarily going to teach me. So just understand, you know, don't do it by yourself. But what Carl said, take initiative and do it now, if that's what you want to do. Carl, did you want to add anything? You're muted.
I'm sorry. My wife and I have owned copy machine companies in several places where there were installations of service people. So we had one in Corpus Christi, Texas. So we had the ability to hire people from Corpus Christi Army Depot, Naval Station Ingleside. Then I bought a company up in Omaha, Nebraska. So I had the ability to hire people from Offutt as they were retiring. And here in Kansas City from Leavenworth and Fort Riley. And I'll tell you, the people we've hired, I probably have hired a dozen people in the last 24 years. And the discipline they come with is unbelievable. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are not afraid to go to work hard. One guy said to me once, Carl, this is not that hard. He said, you don't get shot at selling copiers. I said, no, you don't get shot at. Had some football players come coach, sell for me that played football at University of Missouri, University of Kansas, University of Kansas State, Nebraska. And they said, those linebackers that come and just knock your head off, I hadn't had that happen to me in the copier sales business. So this is not a tough industry that I'm in, and there's a lot of industries just like it. You just got to find one that will fit your style and just go do it. You're not going to find exactly what you're looking for, so make it yours. And I'm a college football coach. I'm not a sales guy. I'm not a businessman. I'm a college football coach. And thank God my wife convinced me to get out of this and do something else because I made more money doing this. But I challenge you all to call me if you're looking for a job, and I'll help you find something. I promise I'll help you. But you got to make the first step. You got to call me. You got to send me an email, whatever, resume. Let's get on it. Let's get after it. It's a good time to go look for jobs because a lot of people are sitting back in the heels waiting for things to happen. Not going to happen. You got to make them happen.
All right, very good. Thank you for the questions, everyone, and for those who responded. We're going to move on to the next part of the agenda, which is the transition tip. So most of the people who are going to be offering transition tips in future events, they're going to be some type of an educator. They're going to be a coach or something like this. So this is going to be, take what I say or any other person in the future who provides a transition tip to just take note as far as how it might apply, because it might not apply to you depending on where you are. I'm going to stop share on here because I have something else that I'm going to share to talk about this. All right, let's see here. Okay, so what's next is a phrase that I often say in my coaching conversations. And I also very often refer to analogies, in particular a jigsaw puzzle analogy in my coaching. And this analogy it's a basis for creating a paradigm shift in how you approach challenges when you're stuck. So to give you a little bit of perspective to the reason why I have such passion for helping people in transition, I'm going to give you a very abbreviated story on my own transition. In 2012, I was a major and I was going before the promotion selection board to become select for lieutenant colonel. However, the military implemented a reduction in force that year, and it completely changed the promotion system and was not selected for promotion in 2012 or 2013. Even after I was not selected in 2012, I was confident that I would still get selected because I didn't realize what a reduction in force really meant for the opportunities for me to advance in my particular field in the Army. My overconfidence in the system was based on my past performance of success, and I was trusting a system that changed to something that I no longer understood, but I didn't know this. I didn't have a transition plan because I thought I had 2.5 more years before I retired. So when I wasn't selected again in 2013, I had less than 5 months left on active duty when I found out I wasn't on the list. And so whether I was ready or not, I truthfully was stuck for about 2 weeks riding on an emotional roller coaster. I was angry. I was confused. I was worried. I was doubting myself. I was going through all of these various shoulda, coulda, woulda scenarios and trying to understand how did I get here. And I give credit to my sister for snapping me out of that funk. What she said to me was, Emma, none of that matters. Had nothing to do with you. The system changed and you got laid off. And I realized in those 4 words of you got laid off that she was right. So from that point forward, I was laser focused, intentional, and I was no longer stuck because I was focused forward instead of backward. And I only had 5 months before I had to be ready for what's next. So this slide introduces you to a new paradigm that could be helpful to you to get on to what's next with intention and efficiency, and it's an analogy to a jigsaw puzzle. One, you have a picture. Edge 1 is personal identity. You have self-awareness and determination of your personal identity. Edge 2, you have self-awareness and understand your purpose. Edge 3, you're aware of your environment. And edge 4, you acknowledge and accommodate to the routines within that environment. When you have a forward-facing picture, you can take steps towards an eventual outcome. The clarity of your picture gives you the ability to envision what it looks like completed because you have a goal or you have a destination that you're striving towards. When you define the edges, which I'll talk about next, you're literally putting a frame around the puzzle. And this allows you to focus your attention and efforts so that not everything you encounter is a shiny object or a distractor. The edges give you known points for reference and focus for solving that particular puzzle. The first edge you define is your personal identity. When things happen outside of your control or influence, you may feel stuck. However, you can always have a thought or response to anything that happens. You have to know yourself in order to feel like you're in control of yourself in any circumstance. And who are you is a composite of everything that you know, where you've been, things you've done, your ideas, thoughts, values, and beliefs. Purpose is directly related to personal identity in that it answers the reason why you do the things that you do. If the why for the things that you do don't give you energy, you're not passionate about the thought or the action, you're not motivated or driven in that direction, or you lack confidence in exercising and demonstrating the thought or action, then those reasons why are generally not based on your personal power, your identity and purpose, but instead other people's power. Other people's power can be helpful if what they are about and where they're trying to go align with you. But if they don't, then you feel a little stuck because you lack control. So whose power is stronger, yours or theirs? And are you able to do something about it? Environment is the third edge, and you define this where you operate within and where any actions take place. Life happens not in your head, it happens in some space outside of you. What is that environment? And what are the expectations for that space? Your expectations, as well as what the actual expectations are. Your expectations are based on your own self-awareness, as well as what you believe are the values and beliefs of those within that space. But the values and beliefs are the basis for the environment's culture and administration. And what is accepted as right or wrong within that space is based on that culture and administration. So is the way that you're conducting yourself in a given environment conducive to the expectations of that environment? Remember that what is accepted as right or wrong is based on culture and administration. And the behaviors within that space that are common and align with the culture and administration, those are what become routine for those who regularly occupy and operate in that space. Performance, communication, appearance, the various systems and processes for how the work is done they all become routine. And are you comfortable with what they are or not? Because any discomfort that may exist is because of a disconnect in what you know or believe or are applying yourself in your behaviors versus what is deemed right or wrong based on the environment's routines. So are you willing to learn or do something different to accommodate to and get more comfortable with that environment's routine? So to recap on this paradigm, you get to what's next by relating your challenge to a jigsaw puzzle. You have to have a forward-focused picture. You're aware of your identity and purpose, the two things that comprise your personal power, and you acknowledge and operate accordingly within your environment and the expected routines within it. Anytime you feel stuck, remember that you can absolutely and always control yourself. You have personal power. And how do you apply it in your circumstances and in the various environments that you find yourself? When you lack confidence or the courage in your ability to exercise your personal power, that's when you need help from other people. That's when we in the Purple Connection can help you. We can create awareness, enable access, and empower you to action. Okay. Let me see here. We'll bring back couple more slides. Oh, hold on. Why can't I do this? The slide's not advancing. There we go. Okay, so almost to the end. Here's the expected lineup for next month's program, which is going to be Thursday, December 17th. The Purple Connection is every third Thursday of the month. And the veteran entrepreneur is Matt Sapala. He's a Marine veteran, also happens to be my cousin. His company is called Money Smart Guy. The military support nonprofit will be, I'm not exactly sure yet because it hasn't been confirmed, but someone from the VFW, which has its headquarters here in Kansas City. The military-friendly corporate will be the district manager, Joshua Sharp, of Farmers Insurance. This was actually the office that I worked in when I was building my scratch agency for almost a year. And the transition tip next month is going to be delivered by MJ Eberth, who is a financial coach. Remember, this is going to be every third Thursday, same time on Zoom. So go ahead and block the time on your calendar if you want to continue to keep coming. Registration will be required for each event, and this will allow us to track attendance of folks who are American Warriors and also help me see how people might be getting their information if they're a subscriber to my Toops Consulting email or they're getting the information to attend from other means. Only registrants and American Warriors will get access to the recording via an email link, and then event attendees get access to the saved chat for that particular event. So here is just a little bit of a promo as far as the ACA Business Club. American Warriors is one of the SIGs of the club, but here are some of the other benefits of being a club member. There are multiple club facilities here in Kansas City, but there are also several clubs in other metros across the country. We also have a virtual club where there is not yet a club facility, but the club members have access to all the other resources of the club that are available virtually, to include other special interest groups, the club directory for all members anywhere, and then those events and learning opportunities that occur. There's opportunities to engage with other members of the club as well as guests every week. And for those looking to step up to leadership, excuse me, those are available at levels for teams, groups, or a particular club location. If you are looking for more information on anything that has been presented in today's program, please just send me a note. And thank you very much for being here. And I hope you found value in the presentations. Well, have a good evening and we'll see you next month. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. And come back here.
Thank you, Emma.
So, sorry we went just a little bit long, but I hope that you all enjoyed the program and learned something. Anybody? Okay. So I'm going to do a save on the chat, and the recording will get cleaned up a little bit as well as the chat. So I look forward to seeing you all in a future event soon. And everyone have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Emma.
You're welcome.